Well, guys, tonight's episode marks the exact beginning of the end for one of the greatest shows I have ever seen in my entire life. Hey there, guys, what's up? It's all about Mike 18 here with another Breaking Bad episode review, guys. Man, do I have a lot to discuss about tonight's episode, guys. I am so shocked that this show is pretty much over. That's right, guys. Breaking Bad literally has one episode left and the show is completely done for good. I can't believe the finale is next week. The series finale is next week for Breaking Bad, guys. I just watched the newest episode of Breaking Bad, Season 5, Episode 15, Granite State tonight, guys. I watched it about a half hour ago. Here I am with my review, guys. I have a lot to discuss. A lot has happened in tonight's episode. A lot of crucial plot points I gotta touch upon, guys. So I hope you stay with me. I hope you guys enjoy the review and all that. And I just have so much to discuss with a show like Breaking Bad. That gave us another great episode tonight. And after last week's episode, Ozymandias, which literally is mine and I'm sure your guys is one of our favorites episodes of Breaking Bad ever. I mean, that episode was just perfect. And so I want to get right into tonight's review, guys. This is going to be a spoiler-heavy review, in case you guys didn't know that already. I'm going to spoil the hell out of this thing. So if you didn't watch the episode yet, do not watch this video, because I'm going to spoil the whole thing. I really wouldn't recommend that you guys watch my review if you haven't seen the episode yet. But anyway, I have a lot to discuss, guys. I'm going to start off the video with basically summing up the plot of the episode. I have a lot of plot points I want to touch upon. I want to talk about and discuss and break down. So stay tuned with me for that. And I'm also going to talk about a couple of other things I liked and or did not like about this episode. And of course, I will give my predictions for next week, the finale. I have to discuss that, of course. So let's get right to it, guys. And quick thing I wanted to mention, I'm not going to go in chronological order when I sum up the plot. I'm going to skip around a little bit tonight because this episode was actually extended. This episode was about 75 minutes, including commercials. They extended this episode and the finale as well for next week, giving us a few extra scenes, which I really do like. But anyway, guys, let's start talking about the episode. The first thing I'm going to start talking about is obviously the opening scene, and then I'm actually going to talk about what happened with Todd and Jesse tonight, and then I'll discuss what's going on with Walt. So, Todd, in the opening scene in the episode, I really liked it. It was kind of funny, after, all the emotions we felt last week. I think we needed a funny, kind of funny opening, and also a kind of shocking opening. We see that van that picked up Walt in the end of last week's episode, the van that's going to give him a new identity. We see it driving to the vacuum store. It's that guy that Saul knows, that'll take away your identity. He gets out of the van. We expect Walt to get out of the van, but he doesn't. Saul gets out of the van, and we're like, holy crap, Saul's going to get a new identity too! That really surprised me. I never thought I'd see the day where Saul would literally go to the own guy he's been telling his clients, recommending to some of his clients, especially Walt, and he's going to change his own identity. The Saul Goodman, the famous lawyer in Albuquerque, is going to change his own identity because he doesn't want to get involved with this. So that scene was funny and at the same time very shocking. I really liked it. And Walt is actually literally in the basement of the guy that can make you disappear in his vacuum shop. So that's where the opening scene starts us off with. So now I'm going to start talking about what's going on with Todd and Jesse, because that was one of the most interesting parts of the whole episode, in my opinion. I can't wait to break this down. And that last shot of this episode that we see of Todd and Jesse and Uncle Jack, that was one of the most messed up moments of Breaking Bad history. I can't wait to discuss that. But anyway, with Todd and Jesse, we all know last week Todd took Jesse and back to his base of operations, with his uncle and their men. And Todd is forcing Jesse to cook. He had that picture of Andrea and Brock up on the wall, I guess, to force Jesse into cooking. And we really didn't know what Todd's motive was in the episode for cooking, or for getting Jesse to cook for him again. Some of you guessed it, and you guys were absolutely right. It turns out that Todd just wants to impress Lydia. Todd Todd, as we all know, is not the best cook. I mean, yeah, his nickname is Meth Damon, but he's not a very good cook. So he needed Jesse to cook for him or to help him with the cooks. And he just wants to make all this meth and give it to Lydia. I mean, he's got the millions. I mean, he can have any girl he wants, but he wants Lydia. I guess he has a big crush on her. Meth Damon is kind of creepy at the same time. You know, he's a sweet guy, but in a way he's kind of creepy as well. But he just wants to do all this for Lydia. He wants to cook for her and give her this product so she can still give it to the guys out overseas. And that's why he's cooking. It also turns out that Uncle Jack and the other Nazis, they raided Hank's house and they stole Jesse's confessional tape, and I guess they took a couple of other things that could tie them into this whole Heisenberg case. And so Jesse's still literally in that hole in the ground where, you know, it's like so high up where you could get to the exit, you know, the door out, and that was, you know, the gate out, and Jesse's really stuck here. You know, he has nothing to do but help Todd cook. So at one point in the episode, I'm going to start talking about Skyler for a second for a very important reason. She's in her house, and she goes into Holly's room, and we see Todd wearing a ski mask, and these two other guys wearing ski masks in Holly's room. And when I saw them, I literally jumped. I was like, "Whoa!" I just didn't see that coming. You know how Breaking Bad's always doing that to us. But anyway, I literally, that was a jump for me. I jumped, and we think that Todd's gonna do something to Holly or Skyler, and it turns out he just went into the White House to tell Skyler. To ask her if she has said anything about Lydia. Because as we all know, Skyler and Lydia met in episode 9 at the car wash, and Todd is questioning Skyler to find out if she said anything to the cops about Lydia, because we all know the cops are watching over Skyler now because of what's been revealed about Walt. So she says, excuse me, she'd never said anything about Lydia. So Todd and the creepy guys leave, and we see in one of the next scenes, Todd goes to meet Lydia at that cafe that Lydia is always going to. And Todd tells Lydia that she has nothing to worry about. Skyler's not going to say a word. It turns out Lydia wanted Todd to do this. She gave him that job to go ask Skyler if she said anything. So it wasn't Todd's idea. It was Lydia's. But still, I mean, Todd, Meth Damon, he's creepy as hell, man. I mean, at one part in the cafe scene, he literally puts his hand on Lydia's like neck. I mean, I know he has a crush on her, but he's creepy as hell, man. He really is. But anyway, guys. So Todd brings up cooking again to Lydia, and he says that he's just done a batch, and Lydia's like, "What are you talking about? I'm trying to lay low. It was revealed that Walt is Heisenberg. You know, I'm done with this. You know, what are you saying to me right now?" And he tells her that he just cooked a batch and it's 92% pure. And he tells her that he's been working with Jesse, and he tells her he wants to give it to her so she can give it to the guys overseas. And this, I guess, obviously impresses Lydia, and Todd is doing all this for her, but it's still kind of creepy. So now we cut to Jesse. I'm going to talk about Jesse for a bit in Jesse's biggest moment in this episode. We see Jesse, he's still captive. He's like Todd's like slave or whatever, and Todd literally like puts the thing of ice cream and like sends it down to him in a bucket, you know, because he doesn't want to go down there himself. And Jesse he got a paper clip from the photo that the paper clip was attached to the photo of Andrea and Brock. He uses it to take the handcuffs off him. He late one night he breaks out of that hole he's in. He gets to the top, he gets out, and he's about to climb the fence, but there's a security camera. Jesse gets caught, and we think that they're going to kill him. I knew they weren't going to. We don't know what is going to happen to Jesse now. Todd obviously isn't done with him. He still wants Jesse to help him cook. They're up to about 96% purity or whatever at this point. So, in the next scene, and this is one of the most messed up moments in Breaking Bad history, as I said, Todd goes to Andrea's house, and he tells her that Jesse's outside and Jesse wants to talk to her. So she walks outside the door, and Todd looks into the house to see if I guess Brock is around or whatever. And Andrea has her back to Todd. She's outside looking for Jesse. Todd literally pulls out a gun with a silencer and shoots Andrea in the head and kills her. That was the scene that it killed me. That was one of the scenes in this episode that absolutely killed me. It literally pissed me off, and I was like, Meth Damon, that was messed up. You need to die. You are one creepy son of a bitch, and you better die in the finale. That was so messed up. He just killed a mother to a young boy, to Brock, you know? That is so freaking messed up. And literally the worst part of that is Jesse was tied up in Uncle Jack's van, which was parked across the street. He watched Todd kill Andrea. That was so freaking crazy. I could not believe it, guys. That scene absolutely killed me, and Jesse was that tore Jesse apart completely. Andrea is dead. We don't know if they took the body or if they just left it there for Brock to see. I'm assuming they took the body, and they just drive off with Jesse, and Jesse's just crying. He's pissed off. And that's how they end that. We don't see Jesse anymore in the episode. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. And I will also leave my predictions as to what is going to happen with Jesse later on in the video. Anyway, guys, next up, I want to get to the really bigger part of this episode, and that's obviously Walt's storyline. So, guys, as we all know, in the end of last week's episode, Walt, he called the cops. He called Skyler at his house and basically confessed everything over the phone, but he did it in a way that would make Skyler look innocent from this whole thing, because she was laundering his money this whole time, and now he made her look innocent with that phone call. And I also apologize for that last week, guys. I misinterpreted that scene, and I messed it up. I apologize for that, guys. I did mess it up. But I was just wrong with my interpretation of that scene, and I do apologize for that. I thought that he literally meant what he was saying to Skyler. He was just saying all those things to protect her. But anyway, so Walt has to be on the run now. He basically told everything to the cops. He confessed everything. They're obviously going to be after him, so that's why he went to go get his new identity. So we see Walt and Saul in in the basement of the of that vacuum guy, the guy that makes you disappear. And Walt literally has like a notepad, and he's like writing down ideas. He's like, I want to get these hitmen, I want to get these mercenaries or whatever. He's plotting. He's still plotting at this point. This guy is a tough SOB. He really is. He is still plotting. He wants to kill. He wants Jack and his men to get killed. He wants to get his money back. He's only thinking about his kids. He wants to get his money to his kids, because they took like, what, $60-70 million from him in those barrels. He wants that money for his kids. He's still thinking about them. He did all this for them, and he wants that money to go to them, the rightful owners of this money, really, when you think about it. And Saul, meanwhile, is trying to talk him out of it. He's like, you know what, man, you're trying to run. You just got to give it up. And Walt, he's like, no, I have to do this. He wants revenge, and at the same time, he needs to get that money for his kids. And I love what they're doing with him in this scene. It was that scene was kind of dark, and it was, in a way, kind of depressing at the same time, because Walt will not give up for his kids. He literally just wants to get them that money. I love how they're making him do this. And then he's going to give himself up. I guess, I don't know if he's going to kill himself or whatever, turn himself in. That is what he wants at this part in the episode. He wants Saul to come with him and team up with him, stick with him. But Saul literally goes on his own way, and that's the last we see of Saul. Saul goes, I guess, with his new identity. And that's pretty much all we see of Saul. So, another thing I quickly wanted to mention regarding Skyler. I'm gonna get back to Walt, but Skyler, obviously they're the feds, the lawyers, they're all looking at Skyler. They're pointing fingers at her because Walt is still missing. That they want to obviously get all the information out of her. They just want to get Walt when it comes down to all of it. They want to find out where he is. She's literally in this one scene. She's in this room with all these lawyers or whatever, and they just want Walt. They want to find out where he is, and they're obviously looking down Skyler's neck because she is the one person who was connected to Walt. That's his wife. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to briefly mention that. And then later on, we see Skyler when she meets up with Todd, and Todd, forces her to tell her about Lydia and all that. But anyway, back to Walt. So Walt is still hiding out in that vacuum store. In the next time we see Walt, he gets out of this truck and he's in this like snowy area, and the guy who makes you disappear gets out of the truck and tells him, welcome to New Hampshire, or whatever he says. So it turns out Walt, he's taken a new name. He is on the run. He is trying to hide. He is He's Walter White is no more for sure now. He's taken a new name, and he is in the state of New Hampshire, which is why this episode is called Granite State. And he is on the run, obviously, because he's wanted. So the guy that makes you disappear, I don't know his name, brings Walt to Walt's new hut in the next scene in the episode. And Walt has this cabin. That's kind of small and crampy, it's definitely not like his house, and it's not like a dilapidated hovel, it's not, but it's still, cramped up, and it's tiny, and it's, the one thing that Walt doesn't have, though, is his family, and that is honestly what is going to kill him, what kills him the most. I'll get to that in a second, with his family, and with Walt Jr., and that last scene with him and Walt Jr. But anyway, so Walt has to, make do with his situation in this hut. He is given a new identity. He takes the name Mr. Lambert or whatever. He moves into this hut. There's no TV. He has no way of finding. I'm going to literally list every single thing that's wrong with Walt's new location. He has no way of finding out what's going on in Albuquerque, what's going on with his wife. The only way he can find out is every single month the guy who can make you disappear, he's gonna bring Walt like these newspapers or whatever from Albuquerque. That's it. This guy who makes you disappear is still in contact with Walt, but that's it. So that's the only way Walt can find out what is going on in Albuquerque. He has to lay low because everyone's looking for him. He's literally like America's most wanted man now because everyone knows he's Heisenberg and he was a drug kingpin or whatever, and that's why he's laying low. He's in this hut. There's like no TV, no radio or whatever. And he's got to get like his own chemo treatment. The guy that makes you disappear is at one scene in the episode. He's like giving him chemo, and because he still has his cancer, obviously. And they're just setting us up for the scene in the beginning of season 5, episode 1, and I really like where they were going with that. Where he was sitting at the diner and he had his hair grown back and all that. So I really like where they're going with that. He's got to keep getting his chemo, and he still has that one barrel of money just for himself. His family still doesn't have any money or anything like that. So Walt ends up staying in this cabin for like a couple of weeks or so. A couple of weeks at first. Then a lot of time. They fast forward a lot in this episode. Walt has stayed at this cabin for about a month and a half to possibly longer. I wasn't exactly sure on that. I'm pretty sure it was about a month and a half or 2 months at most. Walt was staying in this cabin because it still is winter time, and at this part in the episode where all this time has passed, Walt literally has like a full beard. He's got most of his hair is grown back. We're starting to see him in the way he was in season 5, episode 1. And at this part in the episode, we see Walter White, or Mr. Lambert, I should say, at his most damaged state, really. He's been damaged in the show. A lot of messed up shit has happened to him. But at this point, he's missing the one thing that he has always been living for, and that's his family. He is completely lonely. He's torn apart without them. He's messed up. He wants his family back. He seeks companionship in the guy that makes you disappear. Like he visits him, and they're like playing cards in one scene because he's so lonely. He's all by himself in this cabin, and I really felt bad for him in this scene. That scene killed me. It really did. And meanwhile, he's literally laying in bed one night, and he's staring at the money he has, and he's saying to himself, "What am I doing with this money?" He takes a box, starts throwing stacks of money in there. He puts like $100,000 in there or whatever, and he leaves his cabin with this guy's, he's got his hood up, he's got all his hair. He's basically unrecognizable. A lot of time has passed, and he heads into town. And this is the final scene of the episode, guys. One of the most crucial scenes of the episode, I must also add. So Walt goes into this bar in the very last scene, one of the very last scenes of this episode, and picks up the payphone and makes a call. The episode flash forward. The episode goes to Albuquerque, and we see Walt Jr. in the high school that Walt has been teaching in. He's taking a test. He's called to the office, and he's told that that Marie is on the phone and she wants to talk to him. And Walt Jr. answers the phone. He's all alone in the principal's office, and it's Walt. And Jr.'s just like, what the hell is this? What is going on? I can't believe I'm talking to my dad right now. His dad has been missing. He's been on the run. He's been hiding out for about 2 months now, and it's so shocking for Junior to get this phone call, and I love that scene, and especially with what happens between the two of them. So it turns out that Walt wants to send Junior and Skyler money using Junior's friend Lewis. He wants to send a package to Lewis with the money, and he wants Lewis to obviously give it to Junior and Skyler, and he wants them to use it because that's the only money he can give them at this point. He still needs to get that money from Jack and the men. And Skyler and Walt Jr., I forgot to mention this, they are all doing fine. They're trying to, I guess, move on and forget about it. They did move out of their house. Their house is fenced up, as we saw it in episode 9 of season 5, and kids have been trying to get into it, so I also wanted to point that out. They're bringing us toward the present time that we saw in season 5, episode 1, and I was really getting into the show at this part of the episode. But anyway, Walt wants to give Junior the money, and he feels so relieved that he's finally talking to his son, and Walt Jr. basically stabs him in the back, and not stabs him in the back, but he writes him off as a father, basically tells him, why don't you just go ahead and die already? Junior is done with his father, and this is one of the most heartbreaking scenes of the whole episode, apart from Andrea's death. I mean, it really hurt me it did affect me to see Walt Jr. turn from his father completely, because he knows the whole truth about his father. It's all over the news. That's all you see. Walt is one of the most wanted men on earth, and it really did kill me to watch that. I mean, that was really, really messed up, and I love what the writers did with that. So Walt Jr. basically hangs up on his father. He tells him, I don't want anything. He's accusing him of killing Hank, and Walt Jr. is done with his father, and I don't think that Walt can do anything in the finale that he'll ever reconcile with his son. That's it. That relationship is over. And that is honestly so sad to watch, because Walt was so close with his family. He tried to be close with his son. He tried to do all these things for his son, and it only came back to bite Walt in the ass. And now he's screwed, and now he's lost his family. So Walt is heartbroken at this point. So literally the next thing he does, he picks up the phone, calls the DEA, tells them he's Walter White, and he leaves the phone hanging on the cord. It's just hanging, flying around. It's connected to it's in the bar. He sits down in the bar, and we think he's waiting for the DEA to show up, or the cops in New Hampshire to show up, so they can arrest him. And this scene, I was like, oh my god, something's going to happen here. I was telling myself, something is going to happen. He's not going to give it up like this. He's going to come back to Albuquerque, as we've seen him come back, and he's going to take his revenge somehow. So he's sitting at the bar, he's like waiting for the cops to come to get him, and he's drinking a drink, and he's watching the TV. He tells the bar owner to change to this one channel, and he sees Gretchen and Elliot Schwartz on the TV talking about him. Especially at one point they start talking about him. There was old co-workers over at Gray Matter. I'm not going to get into their story. You guys know what I'm talking about. So they are discussing Walter White, and they were involved in this new grant or whatever. They have the big company Gray Matter. I don't really want to discuss that. I was shocked that they were brought back for this episode. But anyway, and they basically, Elliot basically announces on TV that Walter White was never really a huge contribution to Gray Matter. The only thing he really did was come up with the name. That's obviously a total lie. Walt had a big part in that company, as we all know. And the other thing that Gretchen mentions that really gets to Walt and hits Walt really hard, and I love this freaking scene. She tells Walt, she tells the TV reporter that Walter White died a long time ago, and that Walt is just Heisenberg now. And something clicks and sets off in Walt's head, and in the next shot we literally see the cops showing up at the bar. The New Hampshire police, they show up in the bar. We see Walt's empty drink on the table. Walt is gone. And that's the end of the episode. I love the end of this episode. It's setting us up for the finale. We all know, after watching that one scene, that one show on the TV literally just hit Walt and made him say, how am I going to give up this easy? I am not done. I seriously think Walt is going out there for revenge. That's why he's coming back to Albuquerque. That's why he buys that huge M60, and I think he's going to use it on a couple people. I have a few ideas on who he's going to use it for. He's given up. we thought he would be given up at this point, but he hasn't. He is not done. His spirit may be broken, but he, deep down, after hearing Gretchen call him Heisenberg, he realizes he is Heisenberg, and he is not finished. He has some unfinished business to take care of, and I love that in this episode. And that's why I'm pretty damn sure he's on his way to Albuquerque, and he's going to pick up that M60. And I have a few ideas on who he's going to use it for. I love that final scene in the episode, guys. You know, the Breaking Bad's theme starts playing, and that was so awesome. And it was a great end to the to the episode before the finale. I loved it, guys. So, guys, for the episode itself, that's basically the whole plot summary. As I said, guys, it took me so long because a lot happened. As for the episode itself, I enjoy it. It was not as good as last week's episode. I'm gonna give this episode, I'm gonna give it I'm gonna go 9 out of 10. I liked it nowhere near as good as last week's episode. Last week I gave it a 10. Last week's episode I gave it a 10. This episode was very good, but not as good as last week's. It was kind of slow in a few parts, but the thing that pissed me off with this episode was the huge time gap. That really got to me at one point. We see Todd shoot Andrea and kill Andrea, and months literally go by, about a month or two go by, and we see Walt in his hut, and he's growing hair and everything, and that's the last we see of Jesse or anything like that. So that kind of bugged me a little bit. I wanted to see what happened during that time gap. I mean, that really kind of got to me, and it made me feel like you could have given us an episode maybe or two more. That's just how I feel. Regardless of that, guys, the score for this episode I really, really loved, and I really, really loved that final scene in the bar. The buildup of tension and the fact that Walter Jr. has broken away from his father, and he's done with his father, basically. And even after hearing his father, after those couple months, he's done. He doesn't want anything to do with him. That killed me. There were a lot of really heartfelt scenes in this episode, like I said, especially the phone call between Junior and Walt, and when Andrea was killed. I can't wait to see where they're gonna go with that storyline. Other than that, guys, I really like the way this episode was directed, and that final scene was just so intense because I knew something was gonna happen. I knew that something was gonna make him snap, and I loved it. That scene in the bar was amazing, very well filmed. The episode was overall well directed. I was just a little upset with the time gap. That's really it. Other than that, the one other thing I loved in this episode was how their portrayal of the theme of revenge. Walt is obviously going to seek revenge on all these people. I'm going to give you my predictions as to who he's going to go after in a second, but he's got a whole list of people in mind that he wants to take his revenge on, and I can't wait to see what he's going to do with it. I mean, they have broken Walt. Walt has been through hell at this point. He's lost his family. He's completely lonely at halfway in the episode, and now he wants his revenge after hearing Gretchen say those words that he is Heisenberg. He realizes, I'm Heisenberg. I'm just not gonna sit here and let them take me. I'm gonna fight for that money. Possibly he's gonna fight for that money, and he's going to take his revenge, and I can't wait to see how it's gonna unfold in the finale next week. So anyway, guys, my predictions for next week, I'm gonna try to give them as quickly as possible. It is the finale. I mean, it's going to be so tough to predict this, guys. But in the end, this is what I say is going to happen for the finale. Walt is obviously going back to Albuquerque for his revenge. He's got the hair, he's the beard, the new glasses. He still has his cancer, apparently. And he is going to go back. He's going to purchase that M60 from that gun guy. And I seriously think he is going to first go after Jack and the others. I think they're probably number one. I wouldn't be surprised if he literally shows up at like Elliot and Gretchen's mansion and like shoots them up. I mean, I think he just snapped with what they said to him, and that would be awesome to see. Do I think he'll go after Jesse? I doubt it, and I'll tell you guys why in a second. I want to give my predictions for Jesse, but he's definitely out for revenge. That's what I predict is going to happen to him. In the end, I still feel he's going to get killed. We don't know what he's going to do with that ricin. I was watching this episode with family. They said he was going to use the ricin on himself to kill himself. I don't think he will do that. I don't know who he will use it on. Maybe Lydia, maybe himself. Maybe he will use it on himself. I'm not sure. I would like to think that he won't kill himself. I don't think that'd be a good way to end his character by having him commit suicide. I wouldn't really like that much, but what are you going to do? Now, as for Jesse, I seriously think Jesse I want to see Jesse kill Todd. I want to see Jesse take a knife and stab Meth Damon right in the neck after killing Andrew. That was messed up, and I want to see Todd. I want to see creepy Meth Damon get killed. Very, very messed up, in a very messed up and effed up way. And I seriously think with the fact that Todd killed Andrea, I think that Jesse is going to possibly get together with Walt, and maybe the two of them will gang up on them. I would love to see that, though. I think Jesse's going to be so hurt with this thing with Andrea's death. I think he could team up with Walt if Walt comes back to kill Todd and his men and Jack. I think the two of them could team up. I more so see Walt living, though, Walt dying than Jesse. I don't see Jesse dying. I don't know what it is. Maybe both of them both get killed. I don't know. Maybe Walt does kill Jesse, or Jesse does kill Walt. I don't know at this point. But now after watching tonight's episode, I don't think Jesse's gonna kill Walt. I really just don't. Part of me just doesn't feel. Part of me just feels like he's just gonna go after freaking Todd now. But anyway, guys, that's my predictions for next week. In the end, I'm gonna say Walt is probably gonna end up dead. Don't know how. Either the ricin or someone's gonna kill him. But anyway, guys, as most of you are dying to figure out what's going to happen, we're all sad that the show is officially ending. I can't wait to find out what's going to happen next, guys. I really can't. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry for the long length of this video. I had a lot to discuss. If you guys are such big fans of the show as I am, you'll understand why I made this video so long and why I just love to talk about the show and just discuss the whole entire thing. So thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for my review of the finale of Breaking Bad, the series finale, next weekend. It's the series finale. I can't wait, guys. Are you going to celebrate it with me? It's the end of Breaking Bad, and I can't wait to see what happens, guys. This is just... Oh, I can't wait to see what happens, but I don't want the show to end. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye, guys.